Hey y'all, hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. It is hot out there. Those storms or that little bit of rain this morning just set it up for a humid, hot afternoon. I didn't even know it was supposed to rain. I went to let Stella out at 5:45, and I was like, "Oh, it's raining, Stella. You don't get to stay outside." So she looked at me kind of funny and was like, "Yeah, no, I want to stay outside, but I don't let her stay out in the rain. I'm weird that way." But hope you're having a good day, and everybody's getting ready for the 4th of July. It's been popping at my neighborhood for 2 weeks, I think. Every night somebody is having a fireworks show, but it is what it is. I am not a fan of the 4th of July. I love that it stands for our freedom, but what it's become, a billion-dollar industry in fireworks, and people spending thousands of dollars on fireworks or hundreds of dollars on fireworks, and then it's time to buy school supplies and they're like, "Oh, I don't have any money." Well, probably shouldn't have bought the fireworks, but I get it. Fireworks are fun, they're cool to watch and all of that, but it's just, I don't know, it has taken away so much of what freedom stands for. And we talked about that in women's meeting this morning. My dad was in the Air Force until I was a freshman in high school. So I have a different view of freedom. I have a much different view. I saw the sacrifices that my dad made. He went to Vietnam one person and came home a different. He saw things and had to do things that nobody should have to see or do. And I saw him mentor young GIs, no matter where we lived, at Christmas and Thanksgiving. If they didn't have someplace to go, they came to our house. We always had a house full of families, GIs, whatever it may be. We always had a house full, and it is a brotherhood for them, and I understand that bond that they have, and it's cool to see. But I still have such a different view of freedom because I know the cost of that freedom. I talked about when we went to France and got to see all of the cemeteries where the crosses are perfectly lined up no matter which way you look, and the number of crosses, the number of lives that have been lost. So we can have the freedom to disgrace our flag, our country, our president. We don't have to like him, but we need to pray for him. We need to pray, and we need to ask the Lord to put the right person in place. We need to be on our faces before him, crying out to him. And like I said, I just have such a different view of freedom. And I know it comes from being a military brat. I get that, and I understand that. But I do have it means so much more to me. And it just makes me reflect back that my dad's no longer here. And I'm just not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of fireworks and all of that. And I mean, families getting together, having barbecues, all of that stuff, that's great. That's amazing. But we should be doing that anyways. We shouldn't wait until a holiday. We should be doing that. But in this day and age, we just don't. So I want to talk a little bit about freedom and how we as Christians, that we who have accepted Christ as our Savior, how we get that freedom. Since we have been united with him in faith, we will also, this is Romans 6:5. We have been united with him in his death. We will also be raised as he was. Our old sinful selves were crucified with Christ so that sin might lose its power in our lives. We are no longer slaves to sin. For when we died with Christ, we were set free from the power of sin. And since we died with Christ, we know we will also share his new life. We are sure of this because Christ rose from the dead, and he will never die again. Death no longer has a power over him. He died once to defeat sin, and now he lives for the glory of God. You should consider yourselves dead to sin and able to live for the glory of God through Christ Jesus. And I'm just going to skip to verse 14, and it says, I'll just keep reading, verse 12. Do not let sin Control the way you live. Do not give in to its lustful desires. Do not let any part of your body become a tool for wickedness, to be used for sinning. Instead, give yourselves completely to God, since you have been given new life. And use your whole body as a tool to do what is right and for the glory of God. Sin is no longer your master. You are no longer subject to the law, which enslaves you to sin. Instead, you are free by God's grace. So we are free by the grace of God. We are free by his grace. He shed his son's blood for me, for my sins. I couldn't pay that price, and he knew I couldn't pay that price. And so many people get caught up with having to follow the rules, having to follow the regulations, having to follow this and having to follow that. When I think about it, I go back to the cross. He hung between two thieves. He didn't deserve to be there, but he was between two thieves. One of those thieves, one of those men cursed him and said, if you were truly the Son of God, you would save yourself, and cursed him and talked about him. Awful. And the other one said, remember me. That's all he said. He didn't say, forgive me. He said, remember me. And he's in paradise. He went to heaven with Jesus that day. God's grace is more than enough. We need to quit listening to the noise of the world that says you can't do this because you're not good enough. You can't do that because of this. You can't. You're not qualified because you're this. You're not qualified because you're that. Whatever it may be, people want to throw things at us constantly because that's how the enemy works. The enemy cannot stop us, but he can use other people to stop us. He can use other people's words. He can use other people's attitudes or whatever it may be to stop us from doing what he has asked us to do, because he knows that those words get in our head and in our head and in our head, and it's like a little bird sitting there chirp, 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 chirp. Well, they said you weren't good enough. They said you weren't qualified because, well, you got a divorce, so you're not qualified to do that. You filed bankruptcy, so you're not qualified to do that. You did whatever it may be. God's grace is enough. Quit letting the enemy sell you short. Know that you are free from the sin that so heavily weighs you down. It weighed us down. Use all that he has given you to glorify him always, every single moment of every single day. Let him work through you. Let him change you. Let him grow you. Let him make you who he needs you to be. Because, like I said yesterday, we all have a calling on our life. From the time that we surrender to Christ, he calls us. We are to be ambassadors of him. We are supposed to be spreading the gospel. We are supposed to be spreading the good news. We are supposed to be doing all of those things. Some of us are teachers. Some of us are preachers. Some of us are prayer warriors. You always have a place. Always have a place. You always have a calling in your life. It may change over the course of your life. You may be a missionary for the first portion, and then you may be a pastor at a church, or you may be, there's a fly. You may be called to lead a Bible study at your home. But God will use you. Until the day you draw your last breath, he will use you. So allow him to do that today. Allow him to use you. I hope everybody has a safe and happy 4th. It's gonna be hot. It said there could be some storms tomorrow night, but it's gonna be hot, so be careful out there. Enjoy your time with your families. If that's what you're doing, looks like I'm just staying at home, so I'm gonna enjoy the peace and quiet and the cool of my house. And me and Stella are gonna hang out. Me, Stella, and Zeus. That's the 15-year-old cat that lives at my house. That's an absolute grump. He would give Garfield a run for his money. But just going to hang out and just enjoy peace and quiet. And I'm also going to be studying for women's, I've been asking the Lord what to do during women's on Sunday nights. And he's kind of been leading me in one direction. So I'm going to be studying on that and try and figure out if that's really where he wants me to go and how to proceed and how to do and all of that. So Hope you guys have a great 4th of July. Stay safe. Be careful. Don't put a pack of black cats in your pocket and a lit punk, because that will set your pocket on fire. I know from experience, because my Aunt Margaret did that once, and I'll never forget that 4th of July. But have a great time. I hope to see you guys back here on Monday. We are closed tomorrow and Friday. I most likely will be here Friday at some point to do some stuff that I need to get done. So if you need something, you can text the church phone 918-399-5956 and leave a message, or you can call that, leave a message, whatever, and I will try and get back with you. But I should be in or out sometime on Friday and Saturday. So if you need anything, please just leave a message or text. I hope you guys have a great 4th of July, and remember all of the men and women who sacrificed their lives so you have the freedom to go out there and pop fireworks, to have a cookout, to have your family over, to do all the things that we are so blessed to be able to do in this nation that is in absolute turmoil right now. But remember those men and women. Take a moment, stop, and thank them. I hope you guys have a great 4th of July.